Welcome to another startup and complete car documentation. What we're looking at today is a 2012 Chevrolet Malibu 1LT. This Malibu is finished in the mocha steel metallic exterior color.
It does have chrome door handles and chrome around the window sills. The front door panels have storage areas with bottle holders. You do get power windows, door locks, and mirrors. And on the driver's door panel, you also have your trunk release button.
Cloth seats are standard on the 1LT trim, and this one comes in the ebony interior color scheme.
It does have a partially powered driver's seat. But now let's go ahead and start the engine. On the remote fob, you have the buttons for remote start, lock, unlock, trunk release, and panic.
The Malibu is Chevy's current midsize sedan offering that competes with mainstays like the Honda Accord and Toyota Camry. The Malibu dates back to 1964 when it debuted as a trim level in the Chevy Chevelle. It was produced for 3 generations until 77 as a Chevelle trim, before becoming its own standalone model for 78 when the 4th generation was launched. The 4th gen Malibu lasted until 83. After going on a hiatus, the Malibu returned in 1997 for the launch of its 5th generation, now being front-wheel drive based and using unibody construction. Since 97, 5 more generations of the front-wheel drive iteration Malibu have been produced, and for the 2022 model year, the Malibu is in its 9th generation. There are rumblings, though, that the Malibu will probably end production after 2023, making it yet another sedan to be axed due to the fact that most buyers have flocked to SUVs and crossovers. This 2012 we have here represents the Malibu's 7th generation overall, and the 3rd generation of the Malibu's post-hiatus midsize front-wheel drive iteration. The 7th gen Malibu was produced for model years 2008 through 2012, making the one in this video one of the last ones. It uses GM's extended Epsilon 1 platform, which also underpinned mid to late 2000s GM sedans like the Pontiac G6 and Saturn Aura, as well as some international market cars sold by brands like Opel. You may recall the generation before this having that cool Malibu Max hatchback body style, but the Max was discontinued for 08, so the 7th gen Malibu was sedan only. It didn't really get a big refresh during its run, but it did get a couple minor tweaks to the powertrain options. For a couple years, there was also a mild hybrid variant of the Gen 7 Malibu. So for the 2012 model year, US market Malibus came in the following trim levels: LS, 1LT, 2LT, 3LT, and LTZ. 2 different engines were offered across the lineup depending on the trim. The base one, which this car has, is a 2.4-liter inline-four with just over 170 horsepower. The other available engine was a 3.6-liter V6 with just over 250 horsepower. Front-wheel drive is the sole drivetrain, and the sole transmission for 2012 models is a 6-speed automatic. In Chevrolet's 2012 US sedan lineup, the midsize Malibu is slotted between the compact Cruze and the full-size Impala.
The instrument cluster has 4 analog gauges, which are your tachometer, speedometer, fuel gauge, and temperature gauge. And there is a digital info display, which can be gone through via the buttons right here on the steering wheel. It has a 3-spoke design, multifunctional steering wheel. There are sport grips at 10 and 2. As for controls, you have your cruise controls on this side, along with your information display controls. And then on this side, you have your audio and Bluetooth controls. This is a tilt and telescopic steering wheel. The parking brake is foot operated. There's a little bit of storage, your panel dimmer, air vent for the driver. Right here is your exterior lighting stock. And on this side is your wiper stock. Going down the center of the interior, you have a storage compartment up top, air vents. Right here is your radio head unit. It is AM, FM, XM, and you also have a CD player, an aux port, and a USB port. Below that are all the controls for your single zone climate control, passenger airbag indicator, your hazard light switch, and your traction control toggle button. In front of the shifter you have a power outlet with a little bit of storage as well. Behind this cover is a storage compartment with 2 cup holders. You have a 2-tiered center console. Both sun visors do have vanity mirrors. OnStar. On the overhead console you have overhead lighting. Now we'll go ahead and roll down the driver's window and take a look at the engine bay. The driver's window is automatic down.
The 1LT trim gets you a set of 17-inch bright finished 5-spoke alloy rims. Powering 1LT models is the Malibu's base engine for 2012. Said engine is GM's Ecotec 2.4-liter naturally aspirated inline-4. It's an aluminum dual overhead cam 16-valve power plant with variable valve timing, and as for output it makes 169 horsepower at 6,400 RPM and 160 pound-feet of torque at 4,500 RPM. This engine is paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission with a manual mode, which delivers power to the front wheels. Running on regular unleaded with a 16.4-gallon fuel tank, EPA estimates for 2012 4-cylinder Malibus is 22 mpg in the city and 32 mpg on the highway. It utilizes a McPherson strut front suspension and a multi-link rear setup, together with 4-wheel disc brakes, the front ones being vented. The car weighs in at roughly 3,400 pounds.
And the rear door panels also have storage areas. On the backs of the front seats, you have storage nets. And as for rear passenger amenities, you have a standard car power outlet and a household style one as well. And 2 cup holders. You also got coat hooks. Now, I'm about 6'1", and I put the driver's seat roughly where I would have it if I was driving. And I was expecting it to be more spacious than it is. I know my headroom is just okay. My head is touching the ceiling, kind of pushing against it, but I don't really have to bend down quite yet. And my feet can fit under the seat, but legroom is just alright. By no means the most cramped ever. And I do seem to remember the Malibu generations that came after this being even more spacious. But that's okay, you know, once you get relaxed back here, but it's not the most spacious for someone of my size, at least. But it is by no means the most cramped whatsoever. Does have single exhaust.
Trunk space in the Malibu is 15.1 cubic feet.
And as you saw earlier, the fuel cap is located on the passenger side. Anyhow, thanks for checking out this tour of this 2012 Chevrolet Malibu. And as always, stay on the lookout for future tours.